What if I told you the real enemy isn't out there? React's your own reaction. The insult, the failure, the rejection, they don't break you, but your response to them, that's what shatters your peace. Ever felt like you were in control until one small comment lit a fire inside you? One moment of anger, and suddenly you're no longer steering the ship. Your emotions are imagined being untouchable. Not because the world is kind, but because you've trained your mind to stay calm, no matter how loud the chaos gets outside. That's not a fantasy, that's Stoicism. Have you ever truly paused to ask yourself, how much power have you handed over without even realizing it? Not to a dictator, not to a machine, but to something much closer, your own emotional reactions. Someone throws a rude comment your way and instantly, you burn with anger. Your plans collapse. Frustration takes over like a storm cloud. You face rejection, failure, judgment, and it drags you into a spiral of negativity. And the wild part is, you allowed it. You think you're the one in control. But in truth, it's your emotions pulling the strings. And the more you let the outside world dictate your internal state, the less you own your own mind. You become a puppet dancing to the rhythm of circumstance. But what if you could pause before reacting? What if you could step into any moment calm, centered, and unshaken? Imagine that. No more flinching at criticism. No more drowning in frustration. Just clarity. Just power. That's the heart of Stoicism. A philosophy embraced by warriors, emperors, and thinkers through history. Men and women who weathered chaos without losing themselves. And today, you'll begin to understand how to do the same. So, if you're tired of being controlled by every comment, every delay, every judgment, if you're ready to reclaim your power and master yourself from within, then keep watching, because what you're about to hear may change how you live forever. Rule number 1. Master control. Let go of what you can't change. You receive an email from your boss. The tone, harsh, maybe even unfair. Your pride flares. Your emotions surge. Your fingers hover above the keyboard, itching to strike back. But before you hit send, a quiet thought rises. Will this reaction actually help me? Or ... Is this just a wave of anger, momentary, destructive, and in control of you? This is where Stoicism steps in, not as cold indifference, but as clear vision. It teaches one of life's most important truths. There are things within your control, and things far outside of it. You can't change your boss's attitude. You can't control traffic, the weather, or how someone sees you. But you can control how you respond. If you react in anger, who's really steering the wheel, your logic or your emotion? But if you take a breath, slow down, and ask, what matters most right now? You'll find something powerful. Real control doesn't come from forcing outcomes. It comes from choosing your response. The less you react, the more power you gain. It sounds strange, but think about it. The moment you let someone's insult affect you, they've taken charge of your inner world. The moment panic takes over after a setback, you've handed the wheel to the chaos dot. But when you pause, when you reflect instead of explode, that's when you reclaim your strength. Like a rider calmly guiding a wild horse, you don't fight the storm. You master your direction within it. Take Mark, for example, a marathon runner who trained for months for the biggest race of his life. But on race day, the skies opened up. Heavy rain, muddy roads, freezing winds. Most runners panicked. Some dropped out. But Mark, he smiled, adjusted his mindset, and kept running. Why? because the rain wasn't in his control, but how he showed up for it that was. That's Stoicism in motion. And it begins with your right now. The rain made the track slick and dangerous. 5 kilometers in, Mark twisted his ankle. The pain shot through his leg, and in that moment, he was faced with a choice: rage against the weather, curse the bad luck, let disappointment devour him, or accept it. Accept what had happened and pivot his mindset. He couldn't rewind time. He couldn't stop the rain. He couldn't heal his ankle in that moment. But he could choose how to face it. So, Mark stepped off the track quietly and calmly with just one thought in his mind: I'll come back stronger. Where others might have crumbled into bitterness, he chose clarity. He focused on what he still had control over: his attitude, his recovery, his future. And that changed everything. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "You become what you give your attention to, and if you don't consciously choose what thoughts and images you feed your mind with, someone else will." What does that mean? It means that when you obsess over things outside your control, other people's opinions, unpredictable events, unfair treatment, you let the outside world shape who you are. But when you bring your attention back to what you can control, your mindset, your focus, your effort, you reclaim ownership over yourself. Letting go doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean you've given up. It's not surrender. It's strength through clarity. Think of a soldier. He cannot choose when war begins, but he can choose how he fights. A businesswoman cannot control the global economy, but she can adapt her strategy and lead with courage. A parent cannot dictate every move their child makes, but they can lead by example with love, patience, and integrity. True control isn't about tightening your grip on everything. It's about knowing what to release so you can hold on to what truly matters. And one of the most powerful examples of this, it's the story of Jesus during his arrest. His disciples panicked. One of them even drew a sword, ready to fight. But Jesus didn't react with fear or rage. He remained calm, centered. He knew he couldn't stop the events that were unfolding, but he could choose his response. He even said, "Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels?" He had the power to fight back, to resist, but he chose restraint. And that choice, that discipline, changed the course of history. Now pause, reflect. What about your life? How many times have you been consumed by something far beyond your control? How often have you let an event, a person, or a comment take away your inner peace? If you keep doing that, you're not just reacting, you're chaining yourself to invisible walls. But the moment you learn to let go, you start unlocking those chains. So, what can you do? Start by watching yourself. The next time you feel that emotional surge, that pressure to react, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, let it go. Then shift your focus. Don't waste your precious energy trying to control the uncontrollable. Channel it into what you can influence: your thoughts, your decisions, your actions. And remember, this is just the beginning. Mastering control is step one, but the deeper transformation comes next. Learning the difference between reacting and responding, because how you respond, that defines everything. To stay calm does not mean you're weak, it means you're in control. Responding and reacting are two very different things, and understanding the difference determines whether you steer your life or you're tossed around by it. Imagine this: someone who reacts is like a small boat caught in a storm completely at the mercy of the waves. They get pulled in every direction, powerless. But someone who responds, they are the captain of the ship, calm, intentional, and capable of navigating through even the roughest waters. To respond doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or run from confrontation. It means you engage on your own terms without losing yourself. Picture a trauma doctor in an emergency room. A patient is rushed in, bleeding out. What does the doctor do? Panic? Yell? Let emotions dictate every move? Of course not. They breathe. They assess. They respond with clarity and precision. Because reacting in fear can cost a life. Responding with focus can save it. Now apply that to daily life. When someone insults you, the first instinct might be to lash out. But wisdom says, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this battle even necessary? Or would I rather protect my peace? Epictetus once said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Life will challenge you. People will say cruel things. Circumstances will test your patience. But none of that defines you. What defines you is your response. A harsh comment can be an attack or a lesson. It all depends on how you choose to see it. So, how do you? Train yourself to respond instead of react. Start here. Don't trust your first emotional impulse. That first surge of anger or fear. It's like a drunk man shouting inside your head, loud, irrational, and not worth your attention. When emotions flare, pause, breathe, take a step back. Ask yourself, will this matter in an hour, in a day, in a year? That small pause, just a few seconds, can be the difference between regret and wisdom. Here's another shift. Change the questions you ask yourself. Most people, when hit with problems, ask, why is this happening to me? But a Stoic asks, what can I do with this? The first question turns you into a victim. The second puts you back in control. Look at the truly strong people in your life. They're not the loudest, not the ones slamming fists or shouting in anger. True strength shows up in the quietest form, those who stay composed in chaos, who choose clarity over conflict, who lead with calm. Why are they able to do that? Not because they don't feel anything, but because they don't let their feelings lead them. As Proverbs says, fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end. If you've ever said something in anger that you deeply regretted, you already understand the value of restraint. Now imagine a day where emotions don't control you, where you don't snap when someone cuts you off, where criticism doesn't steal your mood, where setbacks don't drain your strength. How much more could you achieve if you weren't constantly caught in emotional whirlwinds? How much peace could you protect if you weren't wasting energy on every little offense? Control isn't about changing the world around you. It's about mastering your own response. So next time someone tests, you don't react. Step back, observe, choose. Because the truth is, control was never outside of you. It was always within. Have you ever had a moment where you reacted without thinking and regretted it later? If you had a second chance, how would you handle it? Differently? Let us know in the comments, because sometimes the smallest change in how you respond today can shape a better life tomorrow. And if you want to keep exploring how Stoicism can help you take back control, forget to subscribe. Previously, we explored the idea that control isn't about controlling others, it's about mastering yourself. Now let's take that deeper. Rule 3. Stay calm under pressure, the Stoic way. A fighter jet was hit mid-air. The engine failed. The controls stopped responding. The aircraft spun uncontrollably toward the earth. At that moment, the pilot had two choices: panic and die, or stay calm and survive. He focused only on what he could control, moment by moment, step by step. And that's why, despite plummeting from 10,000 meters, he lived. Adversity works the same way. It doesn't send an alert before it strikes. It doesn't care if you're ready or not. One day your company goes bankrupt. One day the person you love walks away. One day your phone rings and the doctor's voice changes your life in those moments. Reacting on impulse often makes things worse. But here's what most people don't realize. Calm is not a reaction. It's a decision. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In any crisis, what matters most is not the event itself, but how you perceive it. If a fire breaks out, will you be the one who panics and runs aimlessly, or the one who steadies their breath and finds the exit? In psychology, this is called reframing, the ability to shift how you interpret a situation. When life hits us hard, our instincts often imagine the worst. But what if you chose to see it differently? Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and psychologist, found a powerful truth. Those who survived were not always the strongest. They were the ones who gave meaning to their suffering. When everything is taken from you, the only freedom left is how you choose to respond. Take something as real as losing a job. For many, it feels like disaster. But for others, it becomes a chance to escape stagnation, pivot, and start anew. This isn't toxic positivity. It's active reframing. It's choosing a story that empowers you to take action rather than shut down. But calm isn't just a mindset. It's a survival skill. When crisis hits, your nervous system launches into fight or flight mode. Adrenaline floods your system. Your heart races. Your breath shortens. Your hands shake. Back in the wild, this helped our ancestors outrun predators. Today, it often backfires. Panic in a job interview, you blow your chance. Freeze during an accident, you make fatal mistakes. So how do you stay calm when chaos strikes? One powerful technique is called box breathing, used by Navy SEALs under extreme stress. Here's how it works. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold again for 4 seconds. Repeat this pattern lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, and shifts your brain from reactive mode to rational focus. But breathing alone isn't enough. Real composure comes from a prepared mind. The ones who break down under pressure are usually those who have never trained for discomfort. Soldiers aren't born brave. They become brave through repetition and resilience. When battle comes, their training kicks in and their emotions don't decide their actions. Someone who knows how to swim doesn't panic when they fall in the water. And someone who has walked through hardship won't shatter when life gets hard. So how do you train your mind? By choosing discomfort. If your life is always soft, even the smallest challenge will shake you. But if you practice doing hard things, up early, training in the cold, speaking up when it's uncomfortable, strengthen your inner calm. And even scripture reflects this wisdom. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. So do not fear adversity. Train for it. Rule number 4. How to ignore insults and remain unshaken. Have you ever noticed that people who insult others the most are often the most emotionally fragile? Those who constantly try to provoke others aren't actually strong, they're usually insecure, fearful, and out of control internally. They lash out not from power, but from weakness, like injured animals trying to protect themselves. When you react to their provocations, you fall into their trap. Worse, you lower yourself to their level. Choosing not to respond is not a form of weakness, it is a quiet victory. You didn't lose because you never entered their battlefield in the first place. Society often teaches us, if someone disrespects you, you must retaliate to protect your honor. But here's the Stoic question. What is honor, really? If your dignity can be destroyed by mere words, was it ever solid to begin with? A Stoic never gives anyone that kind of power. They know an insult only hurts if you let it. Imagine someone throwing a burning coal at you. You can catch it and burn yourself, or you can let it drop and keep walking. I remember a powerful story from my old philosophy professor, a man who practiced Stoicism every day. One afternoon, while walking through a crowded street, a stranger suddenly shouted at him, hurling insults in public. But the professor didn't flinch. He didn't argue. He just smiled, kept walking, and didn't look back. The stranger, expecting a reaction, stood there confused and powerless. The professor, calm as ever. That moment taught me something important. Real power isn't in shouting back. It's in rising above petty behavior. So how do we apply this in everyday life? The next time someone offends you, pause. That pause is powerful. It gives you a chance to ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Most of the time the answer will be no. Another trick, forget the insult. Think back, was there a time you were furious about something someone said? Did it still matter a week later, a month, a year? If not, why let it ruin your moment now? Picture every insult like a leaf floating on a lake. You can let it drift away, or pick it up and let it disturb your peace. The choice is always yours. But remember, not reacting doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. If someone keeps insulting you at work, in a relationship, you don't have to stay silent forever. That's when you speak up with calm, deliberate words. Sometimes all you need to say is, I don't care for this. Or a single look of indifference is enough to show their words have no power over you. As Epictetus once said, it is not events that disturb. If you argue with someone who thrives on foolishness, you've already stepped into their arena. If you return provocation with more provocation, you've let them pull you into their game. But when you choose not to engage, you remain in control. That silence, it becomes power. By now, you've made it halfway through this video. That says something important. You're committed to learning how to master your reactions, not just survive them. We've been gently removing the invisible strings that emotional manipulation pulls on. And in the next section, we'll go even deeper. If what you've seen so far resonates, give this video a like. It helps more people find their way back to clarity. People like you, who are ready to take their power back. Number 5. Step back to take control. The power of the pause. Picture this. You're holding a full glass of water. Someone bumps into you, and it spills everywhere. Your shirt's soaked. You feel frustrated, maybe angry. But have you ever stopped to ask, why did the water spill? The answer is simple. The glass was already full. When your mind is filled to the brim with stress, anxiety, or anger, it doesn't take much to make you spill over. But if there's still space inside, if you've left room, even when the world bumps into you, nothing overflows. That's the power of stepping back. When you pause before reacting, you create space. Space for clarity, space for choice. But here's the challenge. Pausing isn't natural. Reacting is. We're wired to respond quickly, to flinch like a wild animal hearing a sudden noise. But most of the threats we face today aren't lions or fires. They're emails, insults, and miscommunication. And in those moments, our instincts often betray us. The ancient Stoics and Greek philosophers in general had a beautiful word for the state we seek: ataraxia. It means inner stillness, an unshakable calm. Not numbness, not apathy, but peace. Imagine standing on a high bridge, watching a river flow below. If you stand too close to the edge, even a gust of wind could make you lose your footing. But if you step back, you see everything clearly. You stay grounded. Stepping back doesn't mean giving up or being weak. It means choosing to respond with wisdom instead of reaction. When someone offends you, you could lash out, defend your pride, try to win, or you could take a breath and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Will it matter tomorrow? 9 times out of 10, it won't. So how do we practice this? Try the 5-second rule. When you feel the rise of anger, anxiety, or temptation, breathe in. Count slowly, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and only then respond. It seems small, but it works. Top athletes, expert negotiators, even elite soldiers use this pause, because those who wait gain the upper hand. And it's not just about emotional distance. Physical space helps too. If you're overwhelmed, step outside. If a conversation is turning into a fight, take a walk. A slight shift in your surroundings can reset your entire state of mind. Proverbs gives us this wisdom too. A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. The foolish let emotions explode like a volcano. The wise, they learn the art of restraint. And this doesn't only apply to negative emotions. Even joy needs a pause. People who win the lottery often go bankrupt in months simply because they didn't know how to step back and breathe before acting. Someone who gets excited to isolate might grow arrogant. Someone who falls deeply in love might ignore all the warning signs. And all of this stems from one thing: the inability to pause. Taking a step back doesn't just help us manage situations, it helps us manage ourselves. If you can stay calm in small moments, a minor argument, a careless mistake, a rude comment, you're training for the bigger storms life will throw at you. And this is where a deeper wisdom begins to form. The art of intentional endurance. This isn't just about reacting less, it's about choosing resilience. It's about enduring, not aimlessly, but with purpose. Lesson 6. Endure with purpose. Strength through suffering. Endurance is often mistaken for weakness, but true endurance is one of the most refined and disciplined forms of strength. Reacting is easy. Anyone can snap when insulted. Anyone can shout when things go wrong. But not everyone can remain still when the world turns chaotic. So let's not sugarcoat it. If you truly want control over your life, you must first master how you respond to the world around you. Think about it. When was the last time someone insulted you, gossiped about you, or treated you unfairly? How did it make you feel? Frustrated? Did you want to strike back? Maybe your mind raced, crafting comebacks or imagining how to put them in their place. But what happened once the anger cooled? Often, all that's left is fatigue, maybe even regret. Because in that moment, you gave away your power. You let someone else dictate your emotions. Did that reaction make you stronger, or just more reactive? The Stoics didn't believe in suppressing emotions or pretending not to feel. They believed in mastering them. True self-control means you can endure discomfort without letting it rule your next move. If you've ever seen a soldier stay firm while being shouted at by a commander, or a fighter take a hit without flinching, you've seen this in action. They don't remain calm because they feel nothing. They stay calm because they've trained not to be ruled by instinct. Take Cato the Younger, the Stoic known for his unwavering character. He wore simple clothes, walked barefoot in public, and endured ridicule not because he enjoyed it, but to train himself to remain unmoved by mockery. People laughed, insulted, whispered, but he didn't react, not because he didn't hear them, but because he refused to surrender his power. If he had lashed out, he would have lost not to them, but to himself. And that matters because life isn't just about challenges. It's a constant psychological test. Every day you'll face annoyance, unfairness, impatience. Without endurance, you'll be drained, fighting battles that don't matter. You'll spend your energy on petty conflicts and find yourself exhausted. When it's time to face what does matter. C.S. Lewis once said, "Courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point. True strength isn't just what you believe, it's how firmly you hold onto it when it's tested. So if you want to be calm, you must resist the temptation to react. If you want to be grounded, you must stand still when the world pushes. And if you want true control, you must learn the art of enduring without breaking." When you start learning how to not react instantly to small annoyances, you're laying the very first bricks of a powerful inner foundation. Start small. The next time someone cuts in line, unfairly criticizes you, or tries to provoke a reaction, pause for just one moment. Ask yourself, does this really matter? Is it worth sacrificing my peace? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. And if you can remain calm in that one small moment, you've already begun your journey to mastering yourself. Here's the paradox. The more you endure, the stronger you become. People who react impulsively often believe they're asserting power. But in truth, they're exposing their greatest weakness, a lack of control. True strength doesn't come from shouting louder in the storm. It comes from staying calm while everything around you is in chaos. It's like being a rock in the ocean, letting the waves crash, but never moving. So, the real question is, do you want to be that rock, steadfast and unmoved? Will you continue letting small things control your emotions? If you're serious about building inner strength, comment below, "Steady as a rock," and let that be the first step in your new path. Principle #7. Go with the flow. Embrace whatever comes. There's a paradox in life that few people truly grasp. The more we try to control everything, the more out of control we feel. Imagine someone stuck in quicksand. The more they struggle, the deeper they sink. But if they stop resisting and relax, they begin to float. Life works the same way. When we overreact to challenges or desperately try to control what we can't, we fall deeper into stress, frustration, and anxiety. But if we learn to accept and even embrace what life throws at us, we find true freedom. In Stoicism, this principle is called amor fati, the love of fate. It's not about passive surrender, but about embracing everything life offers, even the harshest parts. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." The fire doesn't complain about what it must burn, it simply burns brighter. In the same way, Stoics don't whine about adversity. They use it as fuel to grow stronger. This is why Stoics practice what's called selective indifference, a negative apathy, but a wise ability to focus only on what truly deserves their energy. Someone cuts in line, not worth your reaction. A stranger insults you online, not worth your emotional energy. Your plans fall apart. Adapt and move forward. There's a verse in the Bible that mirrors this perfectly. Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your life? Worrying, getting angry, obsessing over what we can't control. It's like carrying a heavy stone on your back all day. No one forces you to hold it, yet you cling to it as if it will change your reality. So how can we apply amor fati in everyday life?